Something. Hello, hello, hello. Happy day. We are excited to be before you yet again. Ooh, I just noticed my earrings match all the other colors and your background and everything. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to the
No.
Impact Podcast. We have our sister, Dr. Obiama Martin, with us, and of course, our powerhouse sister, Ms. Damaris Alvarado Rodriguez, with us. And we're back. We are back. Hope you are well. We know these days. First of all, I don't know about you guys, but it's been a struggle this week with the time change. And I'm working on getting myself together. Have you guys been struggling at all?
So I've been struggling, but I don't know that it is with the time change. I just think that it has been one of those weeks, like like the week just has been heavy. I've done a lot of counseling this week, a lot of counseling this week, and I've been in a lot of prayer this week too. So and it's been like every couple of hours I'm either counseling or in prayer.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I don't know. Like last night, yesterday specifically, no, Wednesday specifically. So I had a prayer call at 5:30, 6:15 a.m. Then counseling starts at 9 a.m. So I'm counseling all morning, and then I had another prayer call at 12 o'clock, and then there was more prayer, and then there was another prayer call at 6 o'clock, and then there was one at midnight, and then right back this morning at 5:30 and at 6:15,
Oh,
and counseling all in between. Yeah,
okay.
so
Okay.
it was heavy. It was heavy.
Okay. I didn't know that people, well, yes, I did. I was about to say I didn't know that people are that fully active at those hours. But in speaking with you and Damaris, I know that you guys are up really extremely early. And
Early bird gets the worm.
yes, I know. I've been working on it. I've been work. I'm at
You
6:50.
doing better. You doing better. You doing
You
better.
are. You are.
There
I'm
used to
doing a
be
lot
a
better.
time
You're
that you
actually
could not break down
responding.
before 9 o'clock. I'm
Yeah,
just
she's
saying.
responding too. Like, now it's like good morning. And I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
it's 6:05.
yes.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm going to use that as an opportunity to move into the conversation we're going to have, and I think it's related to the two. That was really a personal goal of mine to wake up earlier. I really wanted to. I can't change the number of hours in a day, but I could adjust my schedule to fit more things in there, including self care and all that, because that's a part of my morning. But something you mentioned, Obiama, in regards to the counseling and things like that. So what this episode is called is one size fits none, and we always talk about individualization for children all the time, right, we meet the children where they are, and right, our teaching style does not fit every child, and so I don't think we talk enough about that with adults. So personal development, professional development, um, that's key. So you, to me, what I was hearing when you were talking was these counseling sessions and things like that. I'm like, wow, including prayer, um, is meeting people where they are at any hour, so that they can ultimately be a better them. And I don't know if we can keep separating the two when we're talking about employees, right? Including this is what I was thinking about.
We shouldn't be separating the
We
two.
shouldn't. I don't think we can do that whole leave it at the door anymore. And we're talking about leaders, owners, including ourselves on this call. We also need that personal professional development, and we're doing things to shift some things in our lives, and so our staff. So what is it that we need to do that will hit on these needs that people have individually, so they can show up and be the best version of themselves so that it can trickle down into the families, into the children, and really positively affect the culture of our programs. That's
So,
my thought. Next question.
I want to jump in here. I want to jump in here first because I got to go, and Damaris she's going to come with the fire. But I want to give this perspective. I want to give this perspective. Early childhood as an industry is the only industry that really does not focus enough on mental health and giving employees mental health day, providing employees with mental health support, be it that's counseling or therapy, like early childhood. And it is the work that we do. Like we spend as teachers, as directors, as owners, as all of the different hats that we wear, we have to be that what we need to the people that we serve, but nobody is allowing us to be served,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so then what happens is if we are not aware as bosses and as administrators and as legislators, we will look at those that are serving our most precious ones as babysitters. They don't need this, they don't need that. And so then it's not included in the budget. And so then the owners, depending on who the owner is, especially if it's a franchise or if it's corporate or, can come from the lens of they don't need that, or it's just not considered. And then for the smaller programs that are individually operated, and I shared this with you. I didn't get a chance to share this with you, Damaris, but I shared this with you, Aaliyah, where I had the opportunity to talk to a family child care provider about a week ago, and she is really suffering. She is really suffering, and she wanted to get into my course, but she was juggling so much. And so she was a mom of five. She had a family daycare in her home. She was in school working on a degree, and she was working another job for the benefits, for
Mm.
the benefits, for the health benefits. And so she found herself in the crossroad of life where she has her own children. She has the daycare children. She said, the daycare children is stressing me out, is draining me. Even though I have staff, it is draining me. I have health issues. And my children, father, my children who are 2 and 3, father passed away as a result of COVID. I have no friends. I have no community. I go nowhere. And I said to her, don't even know her. I said, you're going to have to let some things go or you're going to die. You're going to have to let something go. And she said to me, nobody has ever said anything like that. And then she was like, I don't even have anybody to say anything like that to me in my life,
Wow.
like in my community. And so it just became this realization that no matter where you are, professional development is not personal development. While it may say the same, it's not synonymous.
Right.
And so if we don't make time, if we don't give permission and provision, we're going to have a whole lot more people, more often than not, being burnt out and
Yes.
leaving the field or just exiting life, period, because we were not responsible, conscious enough, aware enough, mindful enough to say, let me create this space.
Yes. Yes. What say you, Damaris?
I say, I just posted something on my social media the other day. It came out on the cover of New York Times, and I just want to read. I have a master's degree, 16 years of experience, work 2 extra jobs, and donate plasma to pay my bills. I am a teacher in America.
Mm. Mm.
You're a mute. Yeah, because I wanted to get your input on that. You're a mute. And, that resonated with me so hard because I advocate hard. I advocate hard for my people. When things happen, I'm already thinking about what's the next move, who's the next legislator I'm going to talk to, even if I have to go directly to Harrisburg or go wherever I have to go to. And it's funny. I think I've increased Obiama's caseload this this month intentionally, right? Because as I look, and as this is 20 years of experience here, I do know that within my organization, mental burnout and self-care is needed all the time, but especially during February, March, and April.
Oh my goodness.
So with that, I always plan ahead and called Obiama and was very strategic. I said, I need you to come in. I need you to provide whatever it is that you want to provide. We're just going to leave it an open-ended consulting, coaching, what mental, whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that my team is okay. That's what I need you to do. I don't even want reporting back. I don't even, just tell me how much it is. And we're going to keep it pushing because I need my team to be okay. They're going through personal dramas. They're going to traumas. I'm sorry. They're going through personal things, it took me, it's funny, I texted Obiama last night, hey, I need something on mental resilience. Do you have, any information, anything? It took me, I have a professional development and I was looking for a professional development coach, a trainer to come in. And me, if I can't find it, I'm going to create it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It took me literally a whole week to create a professional development module that was very intentional for my staff, right? Thinking about everyone that is at my table, how am I going to reach them?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because we have PDs on, I spoke to someone else, to another provider that was asking me, can you do this by Pequods? And I said, I don't live on Pequods, babe. You want mental challenges, you want like diversity trainings, go to whoever's giving you that in Pequods. What I'm going to give you is real life.
Yes, hitting
Right?
the need.
Hitting the need, not hitting what is needed of me to make the, to hit the check mark so I can get that paycheck. It's really hitting what is it really intentional about your organization, the things that you're needing. One of them is challenging behaviors, but the main one is self-care.
Yeah.
It's self-care. And then looking at my organization and thinking about my staff, I said, I have to come holistically, right, and innovatively, to make sure that they understand I do care. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about challenging behaviors in the classrooms. We're talking about, teacher burnout.
Yes.
And not saying that challenging behaviors does not have a lot to do with it, but what does have a lot to do with it is that you don't have self-care. If you don't have self-care first, and fix what's happening in your homes, or try to come up with strategies to cope with what's happening outside of the classroom space, challenging behaviors is going to affect you 50,000 times more.
Yeah. So Damaris, it is
important.
Yeah, it's the permission, the provision. It's the permission and a provision, because here's the thing. I talk to so many people weekly that are in different spaces, and at the root of it, they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be supported, and more importantly, they want to be loved.
Yes.
Right? They want to be loved, and getting them to start showing up for themselves is the first thing. And what is the common thread between the opportunity that I have to support both of your staff and then all of the other people that I support that's not even in early childhood education, is that as women, as women, we have been conditioned to believe that it is selfish to put us first. We are conditioned to believe that it's all about our children and our spouse and our parents and our this and our that. to the point that it's at our detriment.
Absolutely.
And so what happens is we just run, 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 and we really feel like, oh no, how dare I
Yeah.
take time for myself? How dare, oh no, like it's a real conversation because of the conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So then when we're in, breakdown, we have the tendency of feeling like, well, I can't ask for help because pride shows up, ego shows up. And unfortunately, some of us as women have been told, you better not cry.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
better not let them see you crying. Right. So it's all of these self-preservation things that we've been taught and conditioned to believe in terms of how we are to operate that is really causing us more harm than
Yes.
it is giving us life and nourishing us.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time for us to get to the place to love us.
Oh my goodness.
To love, I mean, like unconditionally, the scars, the all of the things that make up who we are, the failures, that like it's the shame, it's the guilt, it's layers, it's onions, it's all this kind of thing. And then you get somebody, and I love both of you for allowing me to come into your space because nobody is doing that. Everything is not about a pequoise.
Right.
Everything is not about a pequoise. Like people are really dealing with some heavy stuff
Yes.
and
Yes.
they have no place to go. They cannot afford to go to a licensed whomever.
Yes.
Like this is the conversations I get, but yet they need a safe space to just dump. And
Yes.
they don't all the time want me to be the answer, but they do appreciate just being able to dump.
Yes. The listening ear. And I
The-
think this is why it's so important too, even like as leaders. And I swear the past 2 years, I've noticed the importance of um, me having an awareness because my staff have been around. I have the majority of my staff have been there for a couple of years, and I think back to the first time this came. I became aware of how important it was 2 years ago. We had a staff member at my other site, and I wasn't there full time, but they kept telling me some of the things that she was doing, and it just didn't sound like her. And I'm like, how does she keep forgetting her keys? I said, like, is she okay? Not when I say not okay, not okay. And it still hurt, like to watch her go through that process. I was trying to get her help and everything. Unfortunately, she could no longer work at the program because of the level of mental health needs and some of the things she was doing. It was no longer safe for the children. But what concerned me was that, and when I say she had been there 5, 6 years, did we not notice? We didn't notice that something was going on. And I'm looking at even some of my staff now. Sometimes I stop, I'm like, come in here. Because I see you. And some,
Mhm.
you all right? When one of my directors, I was like, right. Sometimes it's kind of like, come on, I gotta hold you accountable. Come on, you're not, come on, you got right. I'm not a taskmaster. I want to make sure you are okay first. So we do have to have this level of awareness that steps outside of this being a manager and supervisor saying, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? But seeing beyond that title to say, come here for a second. Let's talk. And some of the things some of my staff have been coming into my office to talk about has nothing to do with work. I'm
Oh
talking,
gosh. Yeah.
I need some advice. I need some advice. And it's like, come on here, let's talk. Right. And I got to turn my chair around and we need to talk. And those are the moments where, that's where I want to do better at. And so even though I'm shifting in my position, that whole coach, like being a coach to my staff first, or a support or whatever it is that they need from me, I want to be better at that so that we could be better together. And that's where that personal development comes in at. that we're gonna get those PD hours. We're gonna get them. And I honestly, at some point, if we gotta get past it, and I'm gonna be honest, if we have to get past it to say, yup, we did that, we're gonna do that, but we're gonna do this important work, meaning
Mhm.
I really want it to be an individualized plan, right? Because everybody has to have that it used to be the IP, the individual professional
Right,
development plan.
right.
You get it, but some of that may not have anything to do with ECE and may not have anything to do with training hours. We're going to get you exactly what it is that you need.
Yeah. So
It's
so an
it's different.
individualized personal development plan.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're right. Yeah, it's different for me. I was that person a, for a long, long time. The person that everybody came to, opened the door, and it really took a mental health toll on me. So as I was transitioning out from being that main contact person and transitioning in my directors, so I can provide my exit strategy, right? Um, Now teaching my directors how to let things bounce off a little bit, and saying you can't be there for everybody.
No,
If
right.
you're not there, you got to be there for yourself first.
Mhm.
You have to fill your bucket first before you can fill anybody else's bucket.
Mhm.
And it's really important for them to understand that, right? And to understand that they could only do listen, take in, and take only but so much, right? And it's okay to say, I want to be here for you. I see you. I understand. I cannot help, but let me try to find someone that can.
Oh, that's
Um, because you just can't take everything, especially nowadays. People are going through so much,
oh yes. Oh,
grow so much. And, if they're not in a space to help anyone else, that just not, it's going to backfire. It's definitely going to backfire.
that's-
Um, it's funny, you said about having and observing your staff. I have observed, like, I have a really good keen thing of sense of like observing staff and
mhm.
getting to know people and knowing when things are off. I've always been pretty observant that way. And years ago, I remember, sir, I had this staff member, um, and she was phenomenal. She was just amazing, and she always used to get in trouble. It was mostly as supervision, and at one point, I realized that she was hard of hearing, and she was embarrassed. She was embarrassed to say that she was hard of hearing. And so I called her in my office, and I would do things like walk behind her on purpose just to, and just say things and just call her name, um, not very loud, if she wouldn't respond, just like you would do to a child, right? Um, and then I called her in my office and provided her, I've noticed that, we've been calling you. Do you have a hearing problem? And she did, and she didn't have medical insurance to go and treat her, her medical, her hearing. She needed a hearing aid that was really expensive, and she was really embarrassed to say anything. I ended up supporting her and helping her to get this hearing aid. Obviously, not only because she's my staff member, because that's just the person I am. I can't hear somebody not being able to hear correctly because they were missing $4,000. Like, you know what I mean? And if it was in my reach, that's something I was definitely willing to help her with. But the moral of this story is that, sometimes this particular staff person was really going through it. Like, she was really she was almost fired. Like, if it was anybody else, they would have fired her.
Yeah.
And I had to, it dawned on me, this isn't, because of she can't do it, or she didn't want to do it. It's because she couldn't. And once we fixed the hearing aid, and everything was great, this was like the perfect employee. The perfect employee. It was like a 360, Aliyah. Uh,
Wow.
so just saying, like, sometimes, I said this was a medical need, a medical necessity, but sometimes, things are within our reach. Things are happening, and just seeing that, making connections with your staff is really important too. Because if you don't connect with your staff,
Okay.
you're not going to be able to know, what's going on. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and then there's some staff that you can't help.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, there's some staff you're gonna be like, okay, you know what? This is a very common thread, and I had this year, this woman that staff member that I realized and I suspected that she was going through abuse at home, and she would come in with bruises, and we try to help her, and we try to help her a few times, and it backfired. And unfortunately, we had to let go of the staff member because at this point it was just ricocheting into the classroom, and I'm very overprotective of the children we serve, because they too have traumas, and we couldn't,
Yeah.
but yeah, because sometimes you can't save everybody.
Absolutely. And it's just a level of discernment that comes. And I agree with you. Something you said a few minutes ago was you can't, right? I don't try to take on all of people's stuff. I'm very mindful of that, right? The dumping, like I have a particular capacity that I can carry, which is why I, I pay for some of those supports to provide to staff. That first of all, I'm also aware that everyone may not feel that comfortable to tell me everything, and I don't want them to be in that space.
Right.
So I definitely want to have a diverse number of ways for people to be able to connect. And now everyone won't connect with everyone that I bring in to support them, but there's other things too, right? When we're having the book reads and having conversations, or even when we're social, or allowing space for staff to have conversations in the staff land, whatever it is, it's a couple of different ways. Not only that, I do have, especially for my admin, you mentioned this, and this is key, because I also know I'm not the answer for everyone.
Right.
So when we're talking about this level of personal development, also, I do also invest in some other supports and services too, that even helps my admin team. And something we've been working on, she actually comes each quarter. Something we're working on are these skills to level up each admin, so that first they can look deeper within themselves to build their skills, so that they can kind of identify areas that they need to strengthen, so that when conflict comes up, or when questions or scenarios or things come up in the program, they have built up their capacity to be able to make decisions, problem solve, and then they can also do the same for staff. But I can't expect, and that's where I think we need to do a lot better with, is just because someone gets a degree or may have experience in the classroom as a teacher and things like that, it doesn't mean that they have all the skills yet to deal with people. So many different people, right? The same way in a classroom of 20, you have 20 different children. We have every bit of like 35 different adults who have had different traumas, different backgrounds, different cultures, so many things. And that takes some professional development and personal development to be able to manage. And a conversation that came up recently, I want to talk so much more about this and think more about it. We're also talking about so many different generations within our programs.
Mm-hmm.
That in itself is totally different. So when I'm thinking about personal and professional development, I can't think of it just from my lens, in my Gen X lens.
Right.
Because for me,
we got to be more hip to our stuff, right? More
yes.
Yep.
My mom, right? I literally do have baby boomers, Gen Z, millennials, all of that. So this approach to personal development and professional development can't be one lens based on what I'm thinking, which is why there's always a team of people who have to be around to kind of support everyone for where they are, or this group of people, or right, it might be two who I know how to speak to particular staff too. I'm like, okay, I know what they need.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm that savvy with everyone all the time, which is why, again, I know sometimes one of my other admin team members, they're really, really, really good at connecting with families. So I let her be strong in that area. Yeah. And this is how developing our people, this is why it's so important too, in developing each and every individual based on where they are so that we can help strengthen those skills to just have a more well-rounded program. And you always speak about being holistic. Like that's what this is really about too.
Absolutely. Investing in your team, yeah, it is a return in your investment.
Oh,
I
excellent.
just want to make sure, let's talk a little bit about finances. It costs you
Oh,
so much money to recruit, to when you have somebody, a staff member leave, you know how much money it costs you when that staff member leaves, because now you have to invest so much money and try to, replace that staff, their trainings, professional development, the clearances, the investment of the time. It's just so exhausting, and it costs you less money to invest in the staff that you have in your organization now than it would cost you to recruit staff,
yes.
or to replace that staff. And I wish people would really think that way. I sit in a lot of meetings, guys, a lot. Sometimes I sometimes I amaze myself at how many meetings I sit in one week. And most of the meetings, when they're talking about workforce, or they're talking about staff turnover, I'm like, well, how did you invest? So it's more
Exactly.
to it than just giving somebody a bonus. Yes, a bonus is great. You got them through your door with the bonus. Okay, you're sending them to these PQAs, normalized, professional development. Obviously, that's not working with building your teams. You're also doing all these things, and I'm like, but you're really not investing in your own team. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's really difficult. It just blows my mind. I'm like, maybe it's because I think differently. You and I think, obviously think differently. Um, but that's not investing in your team, guys. That's not investing in your team. If you have 15 PD um training schedules, and you're checking in on them in the morning, what's your ratio? That's not investing in your team. That's why you're losing your people. I say this, I've lost people just like everybody else. So I'm not saying my program is better than anybody else's program. And I'm certainly not downing anybody else's program. However, I do say this: most of the people that has ever left my organization always comes back or reaches out to me and says, I miss you. Nobody does childcare and invests in staff like the way you did, and I understand now, and I appreciate and respect you for it.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Because they understand, like, I'm going to do what I can.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight as hard as I can for you. I'm going to make sure that you're seen. I'm going to make sure that you're respected, valued, not only, by other organizations, or this, all these systematic organizations and whatever, but also by our families that we serve,
Yep.
right? By each other, from each other. And you're going to be valued, right? You're going to be valued where you're at, regardless of what. But yeah, it's just nuts. It's just nuts to me. It just drives me insane. If you're not investing in your staff and investing, really looking at it, creating a strategic plan and how you're going to invest in your staff, you're never going to have staff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's it.
And I don't think we're talking. We have to get to the root of the problem. No, all of this. The staffing crisis has a number of different, root issues. We
Absolutely.
know that, and we can't control all of it.
Right.
However, um, I do think we could have a better
We got to take control of the things we can control.
in our exactly within our program. Sometimes
Hmm.
we need to get to the root cause of that, and sometimes it is not always the other people. Sometimes it is us. It is
Hmm.
how we are showing up, how we are not showing up, what we're providing, what we're not providing in terms of what people need. And I remember so many times, for all of us, because I know one of our core values was the customer above all else, the
Hmm.
customer above all else. And actually, we're shifting the way that core value is, because I don't want that to sound like, of course, my staff aren't important. When you show up and get the job done, which is another one of our core values, we make sure that we take care of our customer. That is very important. But like, what does that look like? What does that look like? And are we actually supporting them based on what they need. Like I think we've had the conversation before, even regarding benefits. And I was talking to one of my reps today, and I'm starting to think about what I'm going to offer for next school year. I never want to do anything just to say that I'm doing it. And we
Right.
offer a lot of benefits. I don't want to just throw at them, okay, here, I offer this, I offer that. I really want to offer what they need. It, I do offer health insurance, but it's a handful of people who use it, whether it's because they
Absolutely.
need it or they can afford it. So then what is it that you need? And I want to start thinking of packages or something. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do it that's more individualized so that it could be maybe a little a la carte. That's my
Well, and that's great that you said that the a la carte. You know, some of it could be we're talking about a lot of organizations are talking about self care, mental health. You know, then kick in the $60 a month and provide them, you know, with a membership, you know, to wherever, right? To whatever exercise place that you want to go to. I can't even remember a name of them. But you know, kicking $60 a month, guys, $60 a month to a membership, that shows somebody, whether if it's the local YMCA, whether if it's the local, you know, gym, wherever it is, it shows to them that the company's invested in their health.
yep.
And it's costing you $60 a month
Versus what? Because
versus
all of
$3,000 to replace a person, right?
what I'm
Or,
saying.
you know, or $4,000 to replace a person. You know, so those are like little tricks. And then medical savings plan. You know, we offer medical and dental. Our plans are a PPO and they're pretty expensive, right? So I get it. You know, so some of the plans are too expensive for some of the staff. So thinking about medical savings plans. So let's get
Yes.
into a medical savings plan. Most of our younger folks don't go into the medical and dental plans because
Mhm.
they feel invincible and they feel like they can save the money. I don't need that right now until they really need it, right? So what happens? Let's save you for a minute. Let's do a medical savings plan that you can use, you know, at an alternative time. And even so, even if there's not, you know, funding available or budgets, you know, available in your organization to be able to afford those things, then partner with a local doctor's office or something like that and say, listen, if I have 10 staff and once a year, I'm sorry, once a year, we provide them a physical, how much is that going to cost me? Because
Mhm.
I would like to offer my staff free physicals. I want them to get checked,
Yes.
right? You can't go on without being checked, you know. So that also provides the staff the sense that you care, that of how they are, no matter what, you know, if they do offer, if you guys offer medical, dental, whatever. But it says, you know, here goes the level, the tiers that I have to support you to make sure that you're healthy. I can provide you with a gym membership, maybe half. Okay. So I
Mhm.
want to do half of your gym membership. I want you to, you know, whatever, if you can afford that, or tier level where I'm going to provide you, all staff will receive one yearly free physical, right? To go get them
Yes.
checked. All staff will receive, if they want to come on, they have the options to come into dental, you know, for your plan or a health savings plan. There are so many different ways, but people don't look into them. Why? Because they feel as though it's costly. I can't afford it. I can't touch it. You can touch it. If you are receiving money, you can touch it. You have to invest in them. Period. You have to budget. You have to put it in the budget. You have to budget effectively and do not pull that money out of the budget. Because let's keep it real and be transparent. A lot of people, they say, you're going to get paid $40,000 a year. They didn't put in the taxes that are paid, you know, from the employer side, right? So let's just say now it's $45,000 a year. And when they owe a $4,000 bill in PGW, then they pull that from the thing and now they're stuck. I'll pay them later or I'll figure out how I'm going to pay her. And then people are stuck. Nobody likes to be played, their money played with. I know I don't, right? Nobody works for free. You know, so you got so much things that are happening out there and people have to be realistic and really do some self-reflection, I want to say, about the business practices that you're doing in your organizations. This is the reason why, one of the core reasons why people are leaving childcare.
Absolutely.
This is one of the
Absolutely.
core reasons they're leaving childcare. It doesn't have to do, yes, I get it. Challenging behaviors are there. Obviously, there's other systematic, stuff that's happening there as well. But at the core, people were leaving childcare before COVID, guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They
Right. It was a staffing crisis before
right
then.
before COVID,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah.
And why? Why? Because people were organizations were receiving tons of money, right?
Yes.
Getting these great grants, and folks were paying people 13 for, people with bachelor's degree, 15, $16 an hour.
Yeah. And I think how we utilize our dollars, um, I think it says something to staff in regards to what we prioritize,
Yes.
what we're doing, and that's what I mean by sometimes is how you're showing up or how you are not showing up. So depending on what you're spending the funding on, I remember years ago when my stars specialist, I think it was called the star specialist, would say, or when we used to have to prove that we gave staff the ERA money, the
Yeah.
education
Yeah.
retention,
Yeah.
and they used to be like, no, because it's a lot of people that don't give their staff the money, and I was like, who would do that? Why
Me
would
too.
somebody?
Yeah. Why would
I
somebody
was
not
so
give somebody
confused.
the
And
money?
sometimes it literally is how people see you or the things that you're actually doing. And so that's why it's so important to model what it is that, I guess you'll model what your real core values and what your morals are. But that's why it's extremely
You got to
important
walk
to
the
show
walk.
up in excellence. You have to show up in
Gotta walk the
excellence
walk.
when you're trying to require the same from staff. That's extremely important. And something I was thinking about while you were talking too, was the same way we understand that children who come to school hungry, like they can't really
Mhm.
retain information. You can't teach a hungry child. We have to meet that need first. We talk about Maslow's hierarchy of need. There's so many needs that people have. So without us addressing the needs that even our staff, in admin, and ourselves, right, we have to address all of these needs in
Uh,
order to be able to come and be conducive
let
work.
let me say, I Instacart my organizations. For those of you guys that don't know Instacart, I just learned Instacart a few months ago, and it's so dangerous.
Your
It's so
friend,
dangerous.
like
It is.
a
I'm like,
friend.
oh, and you need that. Let me go Instacart. So I've been Instacarting, and I make sure I'm very intentional about making sure that my staff lounge has lunches,
Mm,
right? Waters, boosters, energy bars and
mm,
things like that. So that way we don't know, thinking about children, we're always thinking about children, they're being hungry, what's happening in the environment. You're absolutely right. We have to think the same way about our staff as well, right?
yes.
You don't know if our staff, yes, it's not a very high paying job, although, my salary scales are equitable, right?
Mhm,
Based on
mhm,
what the funding that we receive. However, they might not be reaching, or meeting the needs of our staff.
mhm.
So I always think intentionally, did they eat or did they not pack lunch because they had to make sure they fed their 5 kids first? Right. And sometimes as women, especially women that have children, they'll feed the whole family first and go hungry, right? Because that's just embedded in us, right? Well, that's a maternal instinct. And we forget. And I always remind folks. And then the other day, I did an order, right? I bought like soups and all types of different teas and, all this other stuff, water and whatever, juices, whatever in a staff lounge. And maybe like a week later, I go into a classroom, do a check-in, hey, how you doing? And one of the teachers says, thank you. And I
Mhm,
said, thank you for what? And she said, for all of the items, like all the things that you bought in the staff lounge, which happened the week before.
mhm,
And I was like, oh, you're welcome. She goes, no, I really understand this. I really, truly appreciate that.
mm.
And I
Wow.
was, and I didn't take it any further. Right. And I said, you are welcome. I'm glad that you're enjoying them. Let me know if you guys have like different requests, right? If it's in my budget, I'm going to give it to you. But I even allocate dollars for my staff lounge.
Mhm. Oh, that staff lounge is a thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's just a safe haven for, or a space that, and honestly, I don't go. My daughter's always saying, you missed the lunch swap, because apparently they do lunch
Oh,
swaps and
that's
stuff.
cute. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, I really honestly try to respect it. I
Yeah.
don't really go in there a lot because I want them to be able to go and have their
I don't go
conversation
in there.
and not see the boss come in. It's like, everybody okay.
I had to go to the bathroom, and they have a bathroom in the
I'm
lounge.
like,
The other one was already occupied, and I had to go to the bathroom. So a couple of the staff members are back there, and I'm like, oh my gosh! I knock first because that's just me. I just knock, and I'm knocking on the door, and they open like it's a staff lounge. Walk in, and I'm like, I have to use the bathroom. I'm so sorry. Can I? Can I use this bathroom? It's okay. And they're looking at me like, what is wrong with her? Like, she owns the building. Why is she asking us? And they're like, go. And I'm like, no, this is your space.
I respect their space.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you should. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I said, how about if you guys want to talk about me and I'm in here awkward, I make a joke about it, people laugh. They're like, you're crazy. I said, no, it's true. Like, I know I'm not going to be the liked one all the time. People that make the higher ups are never invited to the barbecue.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You already know. Yeah.
No, sometimes though, it's so funny because my staff, I don't know. First of all, they know I love Miami, but they keep saying, so when are we having like staff day in Miami? I'm like, guys, never. Okay. Never.
Unless everybody wants to pay for and meet me there.
I will say this, something I'm thinking about. I just told my assistant director yesterday, because I'm ready to finalize, like, actually I'm looking at the next 2 years, but I want to look at, usually we close a week to do our summer orientation before school starts, but I'm going to look at all the days, because speaking of professional and personal development, I'm looking at 2 days to have like a retreat. I do want us to go to a space where, we go, it doesn't have to be their weekend, but I want to choose 2 days where we can set it up to do a number of different things that will resonate way longer than, say, a 2-hour professional development day. So I am looking at investing that time and choosing a place where we can go and unpack a lot of things. And, maybe we'll read
I
something.
actually was talking to my staff about that. The problems that arise, Aaliyah, was that a lot of my staff have children, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were like, do we bring our kids? And I'm like, well, I guess you can. And I'm like, wait, that's not really a way. Can you find? And a lot of people don't have community.
Gotcha. And so, and it doesn't have to be, the thing is, we can have it for 2 days. You can stay or you don't have to.
To go, right.
I haven't looked at all the logistics.
Well, I was trying to do them to Puerto Rico, girl. So I don't.
Oh,
I'm
available.
Yes, I said to them,
I'll come.
Let's do a Puerto Rico retreat, a mastermind type of thing.
Yes.
We will, and they're one of my staff members, which is my daughter. She said, I have my daughter, and of course she's my granddaughter. I said, but, she said, maybe I'll do a hotel and bring G and then do, the retreat and then come out and do whatever family time. And I was like, that's a wonderful way to think about it. But, I do want to do that. That is perfect. That's investing in your team.
Yes.
That's really thinking ahead of time, where people are so stuck thinking about tomorrow, right? They're so thinking of that, and I get it. We're thinking about today because a lot of directors, owners, they're wearing many hats right there in the kitchen. Yeah. Let's respect that space. I understand that. So it's really hard to look past what's in front of you, right? Because you're dealing with those things and burning out a lot of fires. But you got to take a moment, self-care. Let's go back to that self-care moment and say, stand still. Because when you stand still, you're able to think a lot more clearer. You're able to be innovative. All these thoughts, all these things that will come to your brain like it does me. And I'm on the move a lot.
Oh my God.
I'm on the move a lot. And let me tell you, I need to stand still daily.
A number of times. I'm talking like,
even if it's a
like we were talking about this yesterday. I was in my class, we were talking about, I have so many books. I love books and I love Audible. And I'm a part of a number of different things. So I'll be listening to something all the time. I just had to teach myself when I can feel that it's a mental overload.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I have to be like, no, you need quiet. And so I'm learning to understand and read my body and my mind to say, too
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely. When I start, it's recognizing those stressors, right?
Exactly.
And I start gritting my teeth, like I grind my teeth, and
Mm,
then my jaw locks like a pit bull.
mm.
And especially if it's in a very uncomfortable, conversation that I feel myself getting angered. And, I've learned how to control my facial expressions, especially through Zoom, right? Because the world Zoom, right? So sometimes I could be really sarcastic. So I have to like watch how I do my facial expressions. Um, so I haven't mastered that, but I'm working on that, right? So those are like triggers to me. Those are my body. That's my body telling me it's time to detach, and whatever is done, and whatever's not. I could care less if you're emailing me 20,000 times because something's due. I'm going to get to you when I get to you.
Yes, I've learned that. The pandemic has taught me a lot, and it taught me to do that, to prioritize and give what I can give. And then there's tomorrow.
Absolutely. And thinking
That's
about how are we going to make this better for the next day? You're right. Leah, just like you, we're already planning for the following school year. I told you my staffing plan started back in February for 2023. you know um and my recruitment started into last month. And we I think we are interviewing every Friday, and even investing on somebody to come and help to relieve that from my directors with that recruitment company. I mean, my recruitment strategy is essential. So I pay, a part-time person to come in and do this recruitment stuff so my directors can breathe because they still have to close out this year.
Oh my goodness. And
Right.
it's interesting you say that. Like, so I started realizing the connection to, like, in the fashion world, right? Like right now, we would be 2 seasons ahead, already designing for like 3, 4 seasons later. And it's
Yeah.
the same right now. It's like, okay, we have to end off this school year and do all the stuff at the end of the year, plan for summer, right? Right? We
Hmm.
got to get those numbers and already enrolling for next school year.
Yeah.
That's 3 different program seasons, if you will, that you're
Seasons.
working on top of dealing with whatever is happening in your work life and your personal life, which
Absolutely.
is why everything we spoke about today is so important. So I know, like, we're at
Yep.
50 minutes and we're always like mindful, but I do want to make sure we always have these conversations, but guys, there are definitely takeaways here, and we would love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, your questions around that. But just taking a moment, and I'm a new fan of, well, no, I've always been like a reflector, if you will, but being more intentional about taking those moments to really think about what am I doing and why am I doing it. And we don't have to continue on doing the same things over and over again. You can redefine what professional development and personal development looks like for you and for your organization. And that a lot of times could be the change in your staff recruitment and your staff retention, because that very thing, that you paying attention to the needs of your staff, is why they stay. So, I definitely want to say that. Oh, hello, planning made functional. I just saw a note come up. Hey, ladies, my name is Maria. I am a program director for a childcare program in Lansing. Love the platform. Keep it up, ladies. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Um,
Maria.
so appreciative of that. Were you going to say something to wrap it up? I think that's ultimately what I wanted to kind of get across to everyone, is just, it is okay to redefine it. It is okay for you to do what you need to do for your program and for you. And professional development and personal development, two separate things, but they are so important. And I think it's a make or break. And it also sometimes could really change the conflict that's happening within your program, because sometimes it's deeper than what you may see when you look at a staff member or their behavior. Sometimes it's deeper than that, and just some
Absolutely.
personal development, some support, different conversations, pulling them in the office, having that conversation can really be the key, and it could turn everything around just
Or
by being
just
mindful.
practicing listening skills.
Oh my God. Oh my
Once at times you don't have to say, my team knows that I'm very uncomfortable about the hugging. I'm not just, for me personally. I'm not a hugger, guys. I'm not a hugger. And they know that though, right? But they know I'm a good listener.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Agreed. Oh, we're so much more alike. I'll be like, oh my God, I will
Yeah,
come.
right.
All right.
Yep, yep, yep. I try to distract myself with something else, but I am a good listener.
Yes.
I allow them that space. So it really, think about the ways in closing us out as well. Think about the ways that you're going to be able to really invest in your team. Investing in your team means so much. It has so much. You can do so many different ways, strategies to really invest in your team and really push them forward. So.
Agreed.
All right.
Agreed. So thank you. Thank you. Great conversation as always with you, Damaris. Obiama had to go. She had some students she had to teach. So
Yes,
uh,
yes.
yes, we
And
need.
my camera wasn't working, so nobody could see me today. I'm so sorry, guys. Technology.
And that's okay. The message is all about the message. So we appreciate you guys for joining us. As always, we ask that you just let us know what you want to talk about, topics. They're going to be changing some things up soon, just really diversifying some things. So we want to hear from you guys. Thank you for joining the Impact Podcast. Until next time, have a good night.
Bye.